I've got a new book coming out. I don't have a link yet. Don't soon. Okay, don't worry about that. It is not cyberpunk. What I'm waiting on cover art for right now is, in fact, an isekai novel because it's fun. I'm not out of ideas. Anyway, so while that's coming out, I'm gonna be shifting my focus a bit with some of my video content because I do book reviews here. So I went and picked up an isekai novel, specifically "Heroes Die" by Matthew Woodring Stover, 1998. It's an isekai novel, goddammit. I know that is clearly an American novel, as clearly, from New York City. And if you actually recognize the name, apparently he did a bunch of Star Wars books, which I am interested in picking up now. I did mention before that I want to try some of the extended universe as a contrast to the absolute trash that Hollywood is producing. Goddamn, you'd think I would have this better. Like he did the new Jedi Order Traitor, Shatterpoint, Revenge of the Sith, Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Mindor. And Heroes Die is it's from the 90s, so it's technically Portal Fantasy. Isekai hadn't been minted as a term yet. The big series, the granddaddies of the whole genre, hadn't been written. But it has all the tropes. This might cause a bit of controversy to point out that this is like in the John Carter Western tradition of regular guy ends up in a fantasy world and goes on adventures. Very long history that has culminated in pretty oversaturated and crap genre we now call isekai. So, what's the plot here? In the dystopic future of this world, there are rich people and poor people based on caste. There's a bit more delineations, but the main character is Harry Mickelson, otherwise known as Caine, who is an actor, who is the highest caste of laborer, short of being able to consider himself a rich person, basically, even though he is relatively rich. And he gets portaled into this fantasy world with hundreds of thousands of people tuning into his senses, seeing what he sees, experiencing what he experiences, hearing his soliloquies, his mumbling, his conversations, when he kills people, when he has sex. You name it, they're living it. They're living this fantastic life that Earth doesn't allow them to have for entertainment, because he's an actor. He's actually living out these Hollywood action movies, right? And the book starts with Caine being the best. Now, it points out multiple times he's not literally the best fighter. There are many people that are better fighters. There's people better at everything. He is the most famous. It turns out that is because he was favored by the studio administrator, basically, because marketing. That's what makes him the main character. He has the best marketing. And things kick off with him already being highly competent, which is just so nice. There is no training arc. There is no growth and development on a physical level. From the beginning, he is able to go toe-to-toe with everyone that he could possibly go toe-to-toe with. And he often just impulsively attacks them to get his vengeance and kill them, and it's fantastic. I got recommended this book by a friend who had read some of my stuff and said, "Hey, James, I know you're looking for reference material on good fight sequences. You should check this out, because this is great hand-to-hand combat." Now, a lot of it's quite good. I do think it often relies on gore factor, essentially, which is a fair way to do a fight, because you need to show injuries and how the dynamic of a fight is changing. And doing something like breaking somebody's kneecap with a kick changes the dynamic of a fight, now doesn't it? The book's a little crass and vulgar, little lowbrow. Perhaps unnecessarily so, but I guess it's from the 90s. What can I say? And I was kind of just okay with it, because as you can see, it's a hefty book. It's over 500 pages, and I was like, all right, whatever. This has been on my shelf forever. And it was at page 50 or something, when after you'd been introduced to one of the main antagonists, a bastard named Burn, who is the embodiment of chaotic evil. This guy gets set up as this evil villain that Caine wants to go kill so he can save his wife, because that's actually his adventure. His wife has been trying to smuggle innocent victims out from this empire that is now ruled by a god emperor named Ma El Koth. And Caine, and because she casts a magic spell, people forget about her, and the problem is that disconnects her from the live recording, which means that the life support keeping her in that world and keeping her from turning into a giant ball of interdimensional goo is on batteries. And Caine now has 7 days to get her back online to save her, because even though they're estranged, it's his wife and he loves her. Which, boom, instantly, you got that time pressure, you got the relationship status, you got the impossible task, you got pressure from threatening Caine's life directly in the form of Byrne and Malakoth and the cats and the King's Eyes and all these secret police forces in the Empire. Mixed with this tension of these actors when they go to the fantasy world, they can't tell anybody that they're actors because they are ostensibly real people from this world. But Caine knows that he has to do everything in a way that will keep the studio afloat and keep him in their good graces enough so that they don't just pull him out and screw his adventure to spite him. And that's all okay. And then it was at like page 50 where Caine realizes he's in the same building as Byrne, instantaneously just runs over and tries to kill him. It's on like page 50, and he's trying to murder, almost successfully murdering one of the main antagonists. And at that point, I was just like, oh, that's how this book is going to be paced. Because, spoilers, Byrne doesn't get killed right there. Byrne is the chaotic evil antagonist through the entire thing, to be like the face of evil, because it's actually a very morally ambiguous story where the God Emperor seems to genuinely be trying to improve the Empire, but is just kind of okay with killing people. It's a little sticky, especially with Caine being the hero, and his defining feature is that he will just impulsively kill people. Makes for an entertaining action story, though. But when what he establishes very quickly is things are going to get set up, introduced, and then just immediately used. You know, there's no like, oh, in order to take on Byrne, I have to track down the 3 magic swords so I can dispel his enchantment on his chainsword. No, it's just like mid-fight. He's just like, okay, so that's a magic sword. Oh, and he also has magic armor, but the armor can only go where he's thinking about, so if I can hit him where he's not expecting, I can still kill him. All right, let's do this. Boom, done. Middle of the fight, back into the action. And the pace just doesn't let up, more or less. There is an intentional lull about halfway through where he gets pulled out and forced to wait, and he has some character development. Because actually, while he doesn't have to go through a training arc like most isekai, he does have to come to terms with his relationship with the studio and how they treat him like a slave. And that's just actually a satisfying degree of character development. And then on top of that, you also get these like crazy, wild God versus God magic fights going on while people with knives are duking it out in the background, essentially. Every single trope of fantasy that you could want, pretty much, I would argue is in this book. Quite satisfying. It's very well paced. And the problem, though, is it comes to a satisfying conclusion. But it's the first book in a trilogy. And I'm afraid to read the next book. A friend said, no, they're great. Don't you trust the author? And there's a legitimate point to that. I don't know. Usually when you get to the end of the first book in a trilogy, you're kind of like, you either know you have to keep going because too much is left open, and it wouldn't be the first time that I've tried to continue a series and it's just gone to crap. And we're talking about a 1990s epic fantasy story here right now, so I'm very hesitant. I think what I'm going to be doing is recommending Heroes Die by Matthew Woodring Stover. And I'm going to put the sequel on my back burner, because I tallied it up and I have something like 8 different fantasy series that I'm some degree through right now. Like, I still have to go back to Dresden Files. Only a few books in the Dresden Files series. I've just opened a new can of worms where I'm trying to go back to the start of Discworld with the book club, which, by the way, link in the description. It's the Gilded server is free to join. And from there, I will pull a panel of guests for the monthly live stream. We're reading The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett. Yeah, I gotta finish up some of these series. And I'm hesitant to start another one. Like, I thought this was a standalone, that's why I read it. But I was very satisfied with this American isekai novel, which I recommend. I liked it. Till then, don't forget that I am an author. You can buy my book in the description to support the channel. I'm trying to get monetized this year, so like the video, subscribe, YouTube things, help me out. Peace.